all of you. Let me welcome my panelists to this discussion. I want to first acknowledge the excellent work that's been done by the NCIER team, also by the other partner institutions, and clearly the great support that came from Omidyar Network for this work. The remarks that preceded our panel discussions, both the points that were made by Shilpaji and I think Shekhar alluded to this, clearly we know from other evidence that a very high proportion of assets of Indians, much higher than any comparable country at this level of per capita income or otherwise, is actually held in land. And intuitively, therefore, it should be very obvious to us that good quality of land records, quality of title should be not only important for Indian citizens, but they are also important for Indian voters. Why are they not important for Indian policymakers? Clearly, my own experience, and Ramesh ji in his initial remarks sort of echoed it, clearly this is not an area where the kind of reforms that we've seen in other parts of policy making have happened. I just want to take a minute and contrast this with what has happened to another factor of production, namely capital. Some of the youngsters here will not know, but some of the people of my age and senior to me will know that in the early 90s, the state of Indian equity records, records of shareholdings of shareholders in companies, was perhaps as bad, if not worse, than the status of land records in India. You had multiple certificates. You had the owner was X, but Y would go get it changed. All kinds of things unimaginable would happen in the Indian equity shareholding sort of status in terms of the records of the company. And what happened in the next, this is something which started in terms of serious change in about 92, 93. In less than 5 years, by about 97, 98, India had achieved in this a degree of accuracy which is almost unparalleled in the world. Even today, the kind of digitization, record of quality, the quality of the equity sort of ownership, and of course the digitization, the technology-related improvements, and the ease with which transactions can be done on the basis of these records is remarkable. And it's remarkable by any standards. So the question that I want to start with, first posed to an academic like Professor Ram Singh and to my colleagues who are from the state, A, is this because land is a list 2 subject in the 7th schedule, and equity is a list 1 subject in the 7th schedule, and the government of India could, quickly, once there was consensus, in about 5 years, government of India managed to achieve this. Is this perhaps too simplistic a characterization? And can I sort of push this and ask one more question before I hand over to my panelists? And this is something which I personally believe to be true. I don't think there is a consensus on this. I think in the case of land, unlike in the case of the equity ownership, there is a lot of history we need. And in a country like ours, given the immediate colonial history, the pre-colonial Mughal, and the entire, the last 1,000 years or so, the point is, as a scarce resource, land in India has often been and will continue to be a source of very heightened contestation. And I'm quoting here the beginnings of a book by a good friend of mine, Anirudh Burman, who works with Carnegie. The point he makes is the platform for this contestation has taken place, the platform on which this contestation has taken place has been the legal framework through which the state is empowered to exercise extensive control over the land market. In fact, the moment you mention the word land and market, half of India will be aflame, saying, what is this? Land cannot be a market. Land is something which belongs to the divine, or it came through me through some. So this whole business of land and markets is something on which the state has made massive entries, and the restrictions that are placed on land. For instance, the ideal survey that we should be doing the next round is, can we take a large enough sample, we actually go visit a piece of land and find out what is the actual state of play. Is this land in the possession of she? If she is in possession of that land, all that you need to verify are two things. Does the textual record mention her? And is the cadastral record in congruence with the textual record? If we can answer these three questions, we've cracked the Indian land record problem. So I think the next round we should do, this is a very expensive, difficult to do survey, but I think we should send out armies to physical parcels of land and check this out. And the reason we need to do this is 85% of the answers will be wrong because she will be a tenant and tenancy is prohibited. Or she is cultivating sugarcane and the law says she can cultivate only potato. And therefore, the records can never describe the actual state because the actual state of affairs has been made illegal by some piece of legislation. So I think the land complication is far more than just getting digitization, ease of transactions. So I think these difficult political economy questions of land need to be handled. But to come back on the issues that we heard, Professor Ram Singh, can we start with you? Do you think what we did in capital is replicable? If not, why not? What should we do going ahead? Either way, whatever is convenient.
Thank you, Chair Krishnan sir. You have asked a very difficult but very important question. And you have also provided meaningful leads to the answer to your question. So we, as any economy, has to deal with three factors of production. So capital, labor, and land. So and in terms of the political sensitivity, capital is least sensitive politically. Labor is very sensitive, but land is, political economy of land is most complex. Since our independence, we have been grappling with the issue of land. So in terms of redistribution, we never attempted to redistribute capital in a serious way, and labor cannot be redistributed. But as a nation, we have our polity, our legal systems, our constitution, and our economy have been trying to redistribute. So there have been a paradox. On one hand, the state has been trying to redistribute land from those who had a lot of it to those who had none of it. But the market forces were trying to go the other way around. And so neither side has succeeded in the process. So state did not, the state of India and state governments did not succeed because of the resistance that came from landowners, owners who had a lot of land. And political economy made sure that state failed in its objective. And land records also made sure that market also failed in achieving whatever it wanted to achieve. Maybe we may sympathize with what market was trying to do, or we may be completely opposed to it. But both sides have failed. And the reason for failure, I reflected on your questions as you were explaining, elaborating your question. So the land as a factor of production is very different from capital. And so capital is much more fungible compared to land. And to that extent, it becomes complex. The other reason is that where we have killed land markets are through two processes. The process one is that many altruistic, welfare-oriented legislations, seemingly pro-small farmer, pro-agriculture, pro-farmers legislation made sure that agricultural land could not be, market does not arise, does not work in agriculture land. In many states, so all of us know that in many states you have to be a farmer to be able to buy agriculture land. In many, and then in the process, so on top of that, you have change in land use regulations. In such a scenario, when there are so many regulations in place, then there is, so where land markets cannot thrive, then there is very little incentive for society, for people, for government to invest in making those markets work. The second reason is the tax exemptions given to agriculture and on agricultural land. While capital is taxed, therefore the state has interest in making sure who owns what, how much of capital, how much of wealth. But since we do not tax our agriculture, we do not impose on any tax on agricultural land. A big caveat is in place here. I am not recommending that we should have tax on agriculture. My position is much more nuanced, and I am not recommending that there should be tax. We should be taxing our farmers. That's not the position, but because we do not tax agriculture and agricultural income and land, therefore the state has no interest in making sure who the owner is. Unlike this, in capital, it is in the states, the government's innate interest is in knowing who owns how much of capital. They also want to know who owns what kind of human capital, what kind of labor you own. So those incentives have been missing in case of land. And some of this has been attributable to our political economy of land that made it difficult. And we don't see land markets to the extent we have seen. But let me, as an aside, and then I will come back to this point, you can keep on reminding me. How much time? Can I take another 5 minutes? So what struck me about this study was, I have invested fair amount in studying the question of land acquisition and land markets. So what struck me about the index in this study was that if you were to recall legal disputes or land scams that happened in NCR or elsewhere, I found that there was a strong correlation that emerges in the quality of land records as presented in the study and the places where land scams, the collusion between state governments, politicians, and developers, where most scams appeared. So the areas that appear red on that count in the study in terms of quality of land records are also areas that witnessed maximum of land scams, are also the areas where high courts and Supreme Courts have gone after developers and state governments that you have been abusing land acquisition processes. So, but in this background, the question we want to ask is, what is the way forward? I would suggest 3 ways forward. One is, as suggested by Chair. So it will be a great service if we can match what is there in records with the ground reality, because for anybody who is thinking of investing in a state, for them it is important to know whether land records are digitized or not. For them, it's also important to know if the entries in revenue department and in the department that makes registry, those records are in sync or not. But it is also equally important whether the reality and records are also in sync or not. The second step forward would be, I think there is a case for having a study on land use regulation itself as a part of this exercise. So just like you have come out with an index of land records, quality of land records, there's a case for another study that will rank the nature and quality of land use regulations that are in place, zoning regulations or lack thereof. That will also be a good guide for investors where they can take their investment or not take their investment. And it will also be of interest to check which one of these indicators, sub-indicators, correlate with other economic indicators. For instance, performance of growth rate in a state or other economic indicators, how do they correlate with various indices, sub-indices in the study. Now, so I was also asked by you, sir, to say something on the policy implications. So today, because our land records are not in the shape we would like to be, not only markets don't function, not only investment suffers, not only individuals suffer, as there are 66% of the cases, legal disputes are on account of property dispute. So what is happening is that even the state is unable to enforce its policy. For example, PM Kisan is a very good example. The government of India started big way on PM Kisan. So they said that they will be spending more than 80,000 crore on PM Kisan. But they have not been able to do so. They have been able to spend around 60%. And in next year also, so they are looking to spend they have cut down budgetary allocation from more than 80,000 crore to less than 60,000 crore. This also shows, and why this is happening, it's because land records are not in place. They do not know, who to give this money to. So even for our welfare measures, we need to have land records in place. And we need to do more than that if we want to make distinction between landlords and tenants. But putting land records in place would be a starting point. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Ram Singh. We have two panelists from Madhya Pradesh, Mr. Patil and Madam Rashmi. Which one of you would like to go first? Yeah.
Namaskar. Just thanks NCAR for publishing this good report. And I agree with Krishnan and Ram Singh, Professor Ram Singh. But there is one common issue, is ground truthing is a common issue here. When you realize that whatever the land parcels showing here, and when visit their actual, the reality is different. And we know that the political will is not there in all over India. Again, do whatever the actual reality should be reflected in maps and again in ROR. This is the practical problem. Technical problems also. One technical problem is the error. Because before this technology development, the instruments we are using Jarib, this one chain type, and the error we are adjusted like 1 feet error for 166 feet. One chain, they require 1 error, we allowed 1 feet that time. And we developed the maps on this Jarib chain survey. And the error, how we adjust this error, now the present is there is a very accurate DGPS surveys are there, total station surveys are there, and geo-reference maps are available. But it is very difficult for us to how to match exactly, because there is the people's showing the legacy records with us that this is our area. They are already the government is already given demarcated the land. We are constructed everything, boundaries and everything. How can you say that this land is partially your, the 25% land is not yours and this is different persons? This is the challenging issue for us. The second issue is legal environment. The Madhya Pradesh is starting very changing the rules and acts, and now we are now occupancy tenants. We have removed the act, enact the occupancy tenants law, because, and we are the more developed act, Share Copper Act we introduced there. so that the land, the market should be developed, like sharing the land, because it is very difficult for today also to entering the name for only for 1 year or 2 year lease. Nobody want in agriculture to enter the name for the lazy name there. Such challenges we try to remove by creating legal environment. The third is, I personally feel regarding the taxation system. I agree with Professor Ram Singh, that it is because previously during British era, the taxation is very important for them. So everybody is interested to demand the land, creating the land parcels, creating the record of rights. Now the tax is very only maybe 25 paisa or 1 rupee for 1 acre land. Nobody bother about this. No, this is totally neglected area. But one thing is clear, that in Madhya Pradesh, they starting 2012-13, when the scams are there, open their stamp, somebody stolen the stamps. Then we started the registration, computerization of registration, land registration. Then again we started, there's court cases. There's a lot of problems we faced in court cases, revenue court cases. There were a lot of pendencies there. Nobody registered the cases there in revenue courts. Then we started the revenue court management system, RCMS. Now it is work beautifully there. And we know in sitting in Madhya Pradesh, in Bhopal, that how many cases are pending, how many mutations pending, how many partitions pending. This is good efforts we have started. But the challenges, real challenges, ground truthing challenges is there. And I hope when the will is there, political will, then definitely new map will develop and we resolve the questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Patil.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon. First of all, I would like to humbly congratulate Sanand sir and his team for bringing out this wonderful document on land record index. Now the question is, how will this index benefit our policies on the land records? Basically, we do have, as far as the DLRMP project is concerned, there are numerous components, and when we work on the basis of this component has to be done, that has to be done, this has to be completed. But what we are seeing here right now is you have again subdivided that components and you have given a weightage to each of the components. Now, since you have prioritized the components, now it becomes an eye-opener for us to, in fact, you're making our work quite easier to focus on the main issues now. From where can we tackle the issue and bring it so that the implementation of the project can be taken to a logical end. Now, like for instance, I would like to just talk about my state. It's a small state. We have a geographical area of 7096 square kilometer, and out of that only 2200 square kilometer is the revenue land. So our revenue land is quite small. We have a small portion only of the area as a revenue land. The rest all are forest land. Now, you might say that it's a small area, but again, the challenges with us is the geographical constraints. We have a very, very difficult topography. So, for instance, while taking the resurvey project, it is quite a challenge for us to survey such a place with, I think we have an average of 40-degree slope almost everywhere in Sikkim. And also, the topography of that area makes us quite challenging for us to complete the project on time also. And in this aspect, right now, I would like to inform you that Sikkim has already started its resurvey project last November. And right now, as I'm speaking, the people are working on the field, and we're taking this on the basis of revenue block-wise. So we have a highly trained our own revenue surveyors with core geospatial team, and as well as all the core informatics teams are available with us. And we're trying to do best in spite of what we have seen here in the index. We are, I think, somewhat in the bottom, but the positive thing, what I feel is, I think nothing is permanent, so we'll move off one day. So we are trying our best in this, and I don't have much to say because basically, for me, as personally, it's a learning experience for me, so that I can learn from various states what are the good models of the software components as well as the other aspects. So thank you so much, and thank you for listening to me. Thank you.
Can I now request Mr. Tomar?
Thank you, Mr. Krishnan. I'm from DDA, and all of you must have heard of DDA in a positive way or negative way. The moment we start introducing ourselves from DDA, smiles do come on the faces, maybe sarcastic smiles. Here I wish to put one special idea. Let me first of all congratulate the team of NICAR for taking such a wonderful initiative. Instead of one index, in my opinion, there should be two indexes. One for rural land and one for urban land. There is a reason to it. You cannot compare a piece of land having the cost of lakhs of rupees for a single square meter, and in rural area you will find out in some place in UP, you can get the land in just at the cost of 20,000 rupees per acre. If there is so much difference in the price, how can two things can be compared in terms of service? I'll give you one example. If somebody is coming to me for the mutation of a property of 2,000 crores of rupees, transferring the title of the property of 2,000 crores of rupees from X to Y, and another person is coming for the transferring of the title of a property of just 50,000 rupees. How the two persons can think it the same way? Right? I'm coming to the point. But there has to be the concept of empathy in the services. If you are honest with the concept of empathy, definitely index will go high. We visited Singapore. What I found in the Singapore, there is a concept of empathy in everything. Whenever a person comes to them, they put themselves at his place or her place. What he will think if I will do wrong or right. The same thing if we incorporate it in our daily life, then index will go high. थोड़ा सा मैं हिंदी बोल लेता हूँ. डीडीए में पूरी दिल्ली में करीब 358 विलेजेज हैं, जिसमें से डीडीए ने 240 विलेजेज एक्वायर किए. 23 ऐसे नजूल विलेजेज हैं जो ब्रिटिश टाइम से डीडीए के पास आए. 93 और 95 ऐसे विलेजेज हैं जिसमें लैंड पूलिंग पॉलिसी डीडीए इंप्लीमेंट करने जा रहा है. अब जो इंडेक्स ये दिया है, आई एम नॉट हियर टू क्रिटिसाइज, बट आई एम हियर टू correct the things. Because the moment anybody from DDA or any is here, some sort of concept of ratification also comes. In 358 villages में ज़्यादातर अर्बन लैंड है. अर्बन लैंड का तो फैक्टर इसमें कहीं कंसिडर किया नहीं गया है, तो इसलिए अर्बन लैंड का फैक्टर इसमें कंसिडर किया जाना चाहिए. दिस माय हम्बल रिक्वेस्ट. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
Thank you, Mr. Tomar. We'll come back to the urban land question because really there may be no difference, but I think that's a point which we need to come back and debate. Can I request Madam Rashmi to speak about other issues of Madhya Pradesh?
Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to thank NCA's index because more than the joy of topping this index, we have understood the gaps, where we need to work, because right now in MP we have a team of officers who are all of us try our best. Like Mr. Tomar said, we try to empathize when people come to us with issues of land. And very, very serious issues of land. People are fighting, they have litigations going on for 10, 20, 30 years. And in the same channel, in the revenue court, it starts at the Tehsildar court, goes up to the revenue board of, which is the apex revenue court in most states. And then they probably lose or they win. And then the irony is that the government challenges the final decision of the revenue court, goes to the Supreme Court, to the High Court. So this is the kind of things that are happening in all over India. And so we try to work empathetically. So this is something which is very, very useful for us, this index. We can see where we are doing well. And I think there is no parameter where we are doing perfectly well, where we have got a full score. So there's a long way to go. And especially the land use congruence is something that is really good for us. We know where exactly we are lacking. Having said that, sir, I would like to come to that question that you answered, that you asked in the beginning, whether we can do what we did in the equity market. This is especially of relevance to all of us civil servants, because this is where we would like to go to make it a perfect system. And from my experience in the civil services, the bureaucracy, as a practitioner, as an administrator, I would like to not answer questions, but I would like to express what I feel and because there could be people here who are going to make policies and help us. Sir has been in the DOLR, so we have a lot of expectations from the Government of India. This could be a state subject. But even as a state subject, we know that there are a lot of resource constraints in the state governments. And we always look to Government of India for financial support. If we look at the very daunting task of survey in urban areas, a lot of resources are required, which state governments are not willing to give or do not have. It could be a question of political will, it could be a question of prioritizing resources, but we really don't have those kind of funds. We look up to Government of India for this. Technical, I would say, leadership or the way forward, technological support is something that Government of India is way ahead of many state governments. So this is an area where we do look for support from the Government of India and from a lot of institutes like NCR, etc., because you know the global best practices, you know state good governance issues across the country. So we look for these kind of support from both the policy areas and from Government of India. Also, I think a very good thing that this report has done is not just this report. We have been attending a lot of conferences and a lot of events like this, and suddenly land seems to have come into focus, the importance of land. Maybe also because we have reached a place where other kind of reforms have been stagnating. So this is an area where we haven't unlocked our potential. This could be one reason. The other reason could be the ease of doing business, on which we have put so much focus in the present political thing. That could be the reason it has come into focus. But it has come into focus, which is very nice. And this would probably yield very, very good results. Like in the beginning, Mr. Shah was talking about how there are silent warriors who have been working in the states. So silent warriors also we require, and we also require stars. People who are loud, people who can bring focus to these things, bring it to the center stage. So I think these kind of reports will do this thing, bring it into focus, bring it into center stage. And I will also request that it should be packaged as something which is attractive for the political system. Vote bank, election winning strategy, then I think we can really do wonders, sir. This is what I would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashmi. And thanks to all for the first round of comments. Since we have a very knowledgeable audience here, can we throw this open to the audience for questions, comments, if you can make them short and pointed.
So I come from Rajasthan, and just speaker spoke about inertia is the main antagonist here, and there's no other limitation to this process of digitization. But I came to know of about this during speaking with Rajasthan officials. Patwari group, Patwari is the gram village का जो जमाबंदी रखता है, तो पटवारियों के they actually collectivized the whole region, and all of them went to district collector, filed a petition that nothing should be accessible to an individual without the sign of a digital, even the digital login ID of Patwari. So that kind of organizing at that officials level, isn't that also a big impediment?
So resistance and from the vested interests in the form of officials, question one. More questions? Yeah.
This is a question to MP particularly and also other states. It is good that you are looking at it very positively and look at this whole principle of empathy to look at. So what do you consider the major factors that is really affecting the and not only in terms of putting land records at the web, but also making it accessible the way citizens want it?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
I am Sir Prabhakar from Times of India. I want to understand here, because I'm just listening to all this survey, that what is the whole purpose of this land record? Because I know that this was started way back in 90s. And at that time it was at a very preliminary stages, and they were just putting everything on the computerization. But it had no legal sanctity. I mean, nobody could just by seeing that could have said that, okay, this is my land. And as in the village, sir, there is a map and there is a land records. Now land records is mapped into that map, and still they were not mapping. Lot of fights keep on going on that, okay, this map is smaller than what the record shows. And so they go and fight the case. So are you, when you are putting this thing in the map, when the state government is creating this land record, does it mean that one can rely on that? Okay, this is the land he is now owning, this gentleman is owning, and this is the map, I mean, his land is lying at this point. So are you trying to achieve that, or it is just a record sort of thing that, okay, fine, you have this, because holding shareholders, sir, you understand it, it's a different thing, because it's just a record, okay, you have this many shares, you dematerialize that entire thing, and then it is all electronic. But here you can't do anything electronic, sir, it is there. It is lying at the ground. So how will you do it?
Yeah, but we are talking about the record.
Yeah, I
There is a
understand that,
share
sir.
lying somewhere, and there is a record of the share.
Are
The
you
record
mapping
of
that?
the share is electronic.
Yeah, I
The record
understand,
of
sir.
the land is electronic.
Yeah.
There's no difference.
But are you going to map that there?
There is,
Actually?
yeah, we'll answer that question. I think somebody there. Yeah, I'll come to you after him.
Hi, my question is to Mr. Tomar. Mr. Tomar, I come from an urban village in Delhi. So I live in that village which you mentioned that Delhi is part of that landscape. So I want to, because you have clearly stated that Delhi has these many villages and there's a need for this urban kind of a landscape record check. What issues in your work you have faced when you talk about that there is a need to look at these land records from these villages? What has happened? Like, is something has been missed in the past, or because what we are doing is we are planning for the future, and I am from the future generation, so please, if you could elaborate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
My name is Justin. I work with Habitat for Humanity India. We work on land and housing, affordable housing. Currently, we are working with some states. One of the states, the Orissa, under the Jaga mission, the government is giving 2 lakh land pattas to the slum dwellers. And one of the conditions is land title cannot be transferable. The land can be mortgageable, but cannot be transferable. There are some questions. People do not have children in the future. I mean, second thing is a moral question: why I cannot sell this property? I mean, when a rich person can sell a property, being a poor, why I cannot sell the property? These two questions.
What is your question? Why is there a prohibition on sale of land?
Yeah, the title cannot be transferable.
Okay, I think that's a much larger question. We are on land records, but yeah, if there is somebody willing, I'll take one more question, 1 minute. There's a girl there, and after that we'll get the panelists respond, and then we'll come back in case this time. Yeah.
Good evening, panelists. My question is with relation to the land market. One of the biggest litigants with respect to land today is, and there's a lot of land that's locked as a result of government litigation, which goes on for maybe 25, 30 odd years, and families often inherit land and, in and of itself. So when land is locked in litigation, I think there's a lot of confusion as to how the land records pass and whose name it is, and often encumbrances in the form of litigation also prevent land records from being recorded properly. So when you're looking at creating, a database or an index like this, how would you pass through these land records? How would you make out where, in whose, to whom does land actually belong? You've spoken about the mapping system, whatever is written down in the urban-rural divide, and especially when it comes to vulnerable groups like maybe tribals, where you don't have actual land holdings, women, etc. So I'd be really interested in that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There are two questions addressed to Madhya Pradesh. There's one question addressed to Mr. Tomar. Mr. Prabhakar's question on the larger validity of and the purpose of this exercise. I think any of us can respond. And the Odisha question, land market question, is again open to all of us. So let's start with Madhya Pradesh.
If you permit, I would like to answer first.
I cannot stop DDA. So go ahead.
Let me say I became emotional to see the position of Delhi in the index. एक घंटे से काफी upset था. तो इसलिए थोड़ा सा नॉर्मल होना चाहता हूँ. डीडी के साथ होता है हमेशा कि जहाँ भी जाते हैं क्रिटिसिज्म मिलने को मिलता है. I'm coming to the
Public grievance redressal अलग मीटिंग करेंगे तुम्हारे साथ.
नहीं, I'm coming to the
Just answer that question pointedly,
point to
because
point.
we have to focus on our topic.
आपने देखा होगा कि हमारे यहाँ 1495 कॉलोनीज 1731 टोटल कॉलेज में से 495 कॉलोनीज तो डीडी की जमीन पे बनी हुई हैं, राइट? ये कैसे हुआ, क्यों हुआ? क्योंकि प्रॉपर रिकॉर्ड नहीं थे. यही नहीं बता पाते थे लोग ये डीडी की जमीन है कि पब्लिक की किसकी जमीन है. नंबर 1 रीजन. और ये प्रॉब्लम काफ़ी हद तक ये रिजोल्व हो गई है. अब हमने ऐसे सिस्टम बनाए हैं, 1 इंच जमीन पे आप कब्जा करके दिखाइए. अब आप आज की डेट में, आई एम गिविंग द चैलेंज टू ऑल ऑफ यू. 1 इंच जमीन पे कब्जा करके दिखाइए, तीसरे दिन हमारा आदमी आपके पास पहुंच जाएगा. वी हैव डेवलप्ड वन एप्लीकेशन जिसको 2015 में ई इंडिया अवार्ड भी मिला था. जरूरत क्यों पड़ी कि सबसे पहले तो अपनी जमीन कितनी है ये पता होनी चाहिए. उसके बाद ग्रीवेंस रिड्रेसल की बात आती है. आपको पता ही नहीं है कितनी जमीन है, किसकी जमीन है, क्या है, आप क्या आंसर दे पाओगे? तो जरूरत पड़ी डिजिटाइजेशन की. हमने सारी चीजें 240 विलेजेस का 1-1 इंच जमीन का रिकॉर्ड हमने ऑटोमेट किया है. कुछ महीने में आपको रिजल्ट्स दिखने शुरू होंगे. पब्लिक के लिए, पब्लिक आती है हमारे पास, डिफरेंट ग्रीवेंसेस लेके आती है कि ये जमीन तो मेरी है जी, डीडीए कह रहा है हमारी जमीन है, इसको कैसे रिजोल्व करेंगे? आपके पास कोई टेक्नोलॉजिकल सेटअप होना चाहिए. एस्टेब्लिशिंग द टेक्नोलॉजिकल सेटअप इज विद द हेल्प ऑफ इसरो. कंप्लीट जमीन को हम जीरो रेफरेंसिंग करने जा रहे हैं. टेक्नोलॉजिकल लिमिटेशंस कहाँ आती हैं कि बेस्ट जियो रेफरेंसिंग टूल्स आर आल्सो गिविंग द एरर ऑफ 3 मीटर्स. 3 मीटर में तो 200 गज की प्लॉट तो ऐसे निकल जाती है. 200 गज की प्लॉट का मतलब है कितनी? 2 करोड़ से लेके 10 करोड़ तक की कॉस्ट. अब उसको कैसे मीट करें? तो ये सारे चैलेंजेस हैं और जिन चैलेंजेस को हम मीट करने जा रहे हैं वेरी शॉर्टली.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ram Singh, you had a flight, so you want to leave, you want to answer some of these questions before you leave?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much. So in my response is that lack of land records, along with land use and land transfer regulations together, they have created a vicious cycle for our society. The vicious cycle runs like this. Suppose you want to set up industry. You want to set up big, small industry, doesn't matter, but you need land, and one parcel of land will not be enough. In many cases, you will be needing land of several owners. So when you do not have land records in place, and there are other restrictions on transfer, agriculture land cannot be used for this purpose, for that purpose. What is the option available to you? You go to state government or central government, ask them to acquire land for you. That has been happening in our country because land markets were not functioning, because there were many rules prohibiting transfers of land. As a result, government across the country, state governments, central governments, they are sitting on large tracts of unutilized land. In the heart of capital city, in the heart of Chennai, think of small city, big cities, governments are sitting on tracts of unused land. Okay. And that land came cheap. So today maybe DDA can claim that, they can challenge you. These people are not going to look at your property anyway, sir. But if you look at, DDA's record or any government entity's record, their 20 to 30% of their land has been encroached, and they did not care because it didn't hurt anybody directly, and it came in cheap. So, and your Patwaris are opposed to it because the information that it will be revealed through land records. Any information is a source of power if you have information. Objective of land record is to make that information public so that you are not at mercy of anybody who has monopoly over information. And so if we digitalize our land records, that means that, like we have Aadhaar identity, we have identity of every property, and that identity matches with reality. That will go a long way in addressing the issue of government being biggest litigator and Patwaris wanting to do what they want to do in Rajasthan, and and this process will be crucial for our economic development, will increase the competitiveness of our industries and services. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am. You have? Yeah.
See, all these issues are cropping up. Tomorrow we are going to need a very large land supply. And because the urbanization is growing, particularly for urban use. So you need to know who owns what, so that you can, plan out the distribution of that land in which, whether you call it inclusive or you want to have a welfare opinion or you want to treat it purely as a capital market. You will have to decide on all these issues with respect to, distributing the supply of that land, because supply is going to be the biggest problem for tomorrow. Today you've done what you've done, but for tomorrow at least let us have our safeguards in hand. Thank you.
Madhya Pradesh, do you want to?
There was a particular question addressed to MP regarding the hindrances to people accessing records, and it had the question also contained some reference to the index, I think. If we talk about the index, MP is doing very well in as far as allowing access to the maps and the Khasra and all other records. But I can share with you beyond what is there on the index. So one thing is that people are getting digitally signed records from a large number of places. The Patwari is not allowed to give any record signed copies anymore in MP. So it can be accessed by the citizen himself or herself, or through various Lok Seva Kendra and all these centers which are all over MP, even in rural areas, which is very well networked. They can access at a very nominal fee of say 5 rupees to 10 rupees. So there are two parts to this. One is that even MP is an extremely backward state with a huge tribal population. So although these Lok Seva Kendras are there in the rural areas, for a person may still have to travel a couple of kilometers where there are no buses and other public transports just to access this, and the cost of the travel could be quite substantial. So this is a very, very real hindrance to people accessing these records. The second thing is that once you get the record, is it correct? So this is something that means like there should be real-time updation, and MP is working on it. This is actually Sir's domain, Mr. Patil's domain, but I will still, Sir, answer regarding this. So we have a software which updates everything real-time, in the sense as far as possible real-time. For example, if a mutation has happened, it goes on the web and is tagged with the Khasra number. So ideally, it should be updated without any time lag. But there are issues like right now it is not 100%. There were about 31 districts earlier, but now the other districts have also come on the system. So as soon as a code mutation happens, it is tagged onto the Khasra and it gets automatically updated. So it is more or less real time, but then we still have a large ground to cover, because now I'm talking about mutation, but there are many other things that may not be captured. Thank you.
Are there any second round questions? You wanted a question, sir? No, it is both rural and urban. Any other? 1 minute. Deepak is answering.
What are your immediate action plans? What are you seeing as the next steps you would like to see, to do to improve your records for people? Just
our vision is already to 25. We are shifting towards land titling system. Those are clear titles, and those are possessions, and मौका, खसरा, मौका, नक्शा और खसरा एक सेम होगा तो हम उसको टाइटल में जाएंगे. ये हमारा विजन है. The biggest challenge for us is the demarcation and survey. और उसमें हम जा रहे हैं कॉर्ड्स टेक्निक्स में, और ये हम वन ईयर एक साल के अंदर में हम within 2 years I hope you shifted towards the cord system, because demarcation required a lot of time. Total station machine required more than 8 hours to 10 hours for one hectare land demarcation. And a lot of cases are pending in our courts, so for demarcation purpose. This is our main focus now. One is land titling system, and second is demarcation, and third is legacy records. Legacy record, those records putting in record rooms, there is monopoly, information monopoly is there for one person. So we want to shift towards in domain, public domain, like similar like Khasra, the citizen can access this legacy record within 1 year.
Can I ask you a question on this, sir? When you say citizens can access, can I access details of lands owned by Shamika?
Yes.
Why? We don't allow this. Do you allow me access to find out what are her bank deposits, what are her company shareholdings? Why do you allow me to see her land records without her permission? You can show the village map, but why are we making land records of individuals, which are property rights, publicly available when we are not doing this for any other property? Would you like to put out all your bank deposits for public view?
There's a difference between bank accounts and land, because land is in public domain actually, because the registry is in public open. Everybody, if you want to access the registry records, you can easily see the records. Because if you want market for land, then it should be required public domain. Without,
I think that's there is a flourishing market for equities in India, and there are probably 10 million transactions of equities that take place. That equity record of her ownership is not in the public domain. I think there are serious, post the Puttaswamy judgment, I think there are going to be serious questions on privacy, that the next round questions on land records would need to look at, because what is publicly required and what is private, I think needs to be understood fully. Historically, this has been public, but should it be public? Because as part of our DOLR work, we've seen in Maharashtra, one immediate consequence of putting data of Mumbai in public was telephone calls from bhais. I'm not joking. It's serious, it's documented, and we need to get into this in depth before we sort of blindly, transparency, as Mrs. Shyamala Gopinath once said in a public meeting, remember, too much transparency is nudity. And we need to be careful about where does transparency end and where does nudity begin. So, Sikkim, do you want to respond to Mr. Sanand's point?
Thank you, sir. Hello. Yes, we do have seen, as per the index, that there are lots of gaps which we do need to fill it up. Sikkim, actually, we have some own inherent problems. Like, for instance, our connectivity is very bad, sir. We have internet issues. So even to connect our own SROs, it's very difficult. So we are working on it. In fact, we have started our own dedicated network to connect some extremely remote SROs. We have our own dedicated network done by the DLRMP project. So that way we are solving our issues on so many aspects. Like, for instance, our now, for the instance of, for example, our cadastral maps, sir. Yes, we have digitized our cadastral maps, but problem is those cadastral maps aren't just correct enough, like to be hosted on the website. Because since it was digitized, and now I would like to be a little bit technical on this, since it was digitized and georeferenced. So once we bring it to our, we have an interface called Bhunaksha. So once we bring it to that interface, and nowadays people are, as you are aware, that they are very knowledgeable, everybody is educated. So they know the logic of mapping also, in fact. They know in what scale you are giving me a map. So when the Bhunaksha prints that map, it's not coming, it's as supposed to be. So it's blowing up 1.5% more, 150% more. So because of these technical issues, then we stopped this integration of maps with the textual data. And we have decided now we're going to integrate only the resurvey data, the fresh data, which will have a fresh, exactly accurate spatial maps as well as the land records, ROR, in the area in the ROR. Now, so there was one question regarding there will be a, like after the resurvey, while doing the resurvey, there will be change in the area. No? That was a it was an interesting question. Actually, we bring this our view to the people because we are measuring their land. We have just given them, an understanding saying that during this resurvey, your area might decrease or increase, either of the two. Yeah. Then obviously, कैसा कम होगा sir? How ये तो नहीं होगा? Every now it shouldn't be less and all, no. But if it's more, they don't mind. But whenever we bring it to the negative side, no, whenever this data goes to the towards the minus side, so there's always apprehension. But we have tried to in our awareness programs, we've tried to explain the logic of the first and foremost. I think we call modern survey equipment, digitization. I think first and foremost we should give some fundamental logic to this kind of technology, no? We should say to them, why are we using this technology? Aapko kya fayda hoga? So, coming back to the question, so basically how we are assessing their question is, we tell them directly, it might decrease and increase, but your boundary won't change. No? Your boundary won't change, but the area might change. Then once we say your boundary doesn't change, then say, okay, theek hai to. Now they're happy with that, no? So we have like encountered this kind of problem while, in fact, right now, as I said, my team is working on the field, and I get so many new cases every day, like the land-related cases. Now, I just like to share one instance. For instance, let's say the land is on lease. एक factory आ गया वहाँ पर. Now, that land belongs to maybe, I think, 15 to 20 people. Now, वो factory तो बन गया वहाँ पर. Now, when we go for resurvey, there's no place to survey at all, because दो 15 आदमी का plot तो वहाँ तो building आ गया. So this kind of practical problems my team has been encountering, and yes, of course, we are solving it. And to place on the record, sir, we are going to expand our survey team to next level, higher number of teams with the procurement of equipments and all. By 4 years, we want to complete the entire state of Sikkim. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bhutia. I think we are close to the end of the session. Before I conclude, maybe I'll just make a couple of remarks and try and partially answer one or two of the questions that were not answered. In my opinion, I think this larger paradox of why is there no political will to handle this question, I don't think we have a clear, at least I don't have a complete handle on this question, because the interest of the state cannot only be taxation. Clearly, taxation can be an important reason, but if 80% of India's wealth, as is being documented repeatedly, of Indian citizens is tied to land, clearly a politician who manages to get greater security of title should be a great winner. And it's actually interesting, some of us should go back and read Vice Chairman Niti Aayog, Dr. Rajiv Kumar's book on Mr. Modi. One of Mr. Modi's remarkably good piece of work in Gujarat, not written much about, is the work he did on land. And that's something I've personally gone and seen when I was in the Department of Land Resources. The largest resurvey of any state was undertaken by Gujarat. And there are fascinating videos that are worth watching. I found some of them in the YouTube then. I don't know if they are still there. Maybe our team should try and pull them out. Anandiben Patel, Revenue Minister of Gujarat, Mr. Modi, Chief Minister of Gujarat, visiting a district and randomly going into some village where they've sat down under a tree and sitting with the resurvey team and answering exactly the question that you posed. Resurvey has resulted in 300 acres of the village turning into 288. And this happens in every resurvey because a new village road has come up, a pond has been expanded, a cowshed or some common facility has been created. The individual markings have been done, but the total usable land in the village, which is now available, has not been adjusted. So the moment you start doing 300 into 288, you have exactly these kinds of questions. Why is my 5 acre, your record says 5 acres, I will not settle for anything less than 5 acres. And it's fascinating to see the equivalent of the local panchayat that the then CM and the revenue minister sit and do. It's like exactly like this. X gets up and says, nahi, mera 5 acre tha. Then revenue minister asks, इनके बेटे कहाँ हैं? So one guy gets up and says, एक बेटा फ्लोरिडा में दुकान चला रहा है. अच्छा, दूसरा बेटा सैन फ्रांसिस्को में इंजीनियर है. आधा एकड़ नहीं, इससे 1 एकड़ लीजिए. Then the whole panchayat gets into a big sort of argument, and then in a good panchayat fashion, it was settled. Overall village land has come down by 12.5 acres. Everybody in the village will take a hit. Now let us decide, should it be a mathematical formula of 12% of everybody is gone, or since you are a well-to-do person, will you give up 1 acre? So-and-so is not well-to-do. Let her retain her original piece of land. All resurveys the world over are settled in this panchayat manner. So my question, I think, still remains, why isn't there political will? And I think we should take some of the suggestions that Rashmi made and push this idea that this is a public policy winner and it is doable. And I think there is, it's a case that we need to make. Second quick point I want to make to the team, talk about quality of land. I think it's useful to look at processes like the dematerialization of shares, the e-passports, Seva, which are remarkably good examples of computerization. But I think the important point is each of these was preceded by a standalone business process re-engineering. If I just take existing state of everything and digitize it, it is going to be garbage out. Because the current state of land records is, in most situations, hopeless. So the hard work that needs to precede digitization, I think needs to be captured. That will be my point number 2. And the resurvey related point is well taken. I think all states need to seriously get into resurvey. And I think it's not a technology issue alone. Resurvey to reflect what Mr. Patil called ground truthing is something we need to undertake. But I think we are on to an excellent beginning. Once again, big sort of round of applause for the team which did the work in NCAR. Thanks to all the other institutions, NIPFP, Brookings, IGIDR, which were also part of similar exercises. And thanks most of all to ON for funding what I think is an area which is extremely high payoff in terms of its impact, and it's truly a low-hanging fruit in terms of the monies that are required. These are not studies that require large sums of rupee resources, but I think it's money extremely well spent. Thank you again.